What's up everyone, it's 또떠남 again. I'm afraid that you might be a little bit surprised to hear me speak in English. Even I make some of you cringy. Right now actually I'm pushing myself to speak in English because the topic of today's clip is learning English. So with 또떠남, who learn English only and purely in Korea, let's have a discussion how to learn English as an office worker at home. For those of you with no specific goals to achieve right away, just like when you prepare college entrance exam or TOEIC score for a job application, it's in fact not easy to study English by yourself. In this sense, I believe that the motivation is the most important factor for office worker when they try to learn new things. For me, a complex that I had before motivated me to learn English. To be honest, I used to get good grades in my junior high school. I was a kind of boy with strong ego, but that ego totally shattered into pieces when I entered a foreign language high school. English, in particular, gave me a really hard time since more than half of classmates had overseas experience and the other guys were quite fluent in English as well. So I think that's when I began to have a complex about English. So I put much more effort on learning it, but my goal was not to become better than the other guys, but at least I didn't want to be noticed for my bad performance among them. After graduating from high school, I studied law in undergraduate school and applied for a bar exam. Unfortunately, I failed to pass the exam and I had to fulfill the mandatory military service. But I recall that I was a little bit unstable at the time because I had the thought that I would have to get a job right after the discharge. And I think I was a little bit anxious to spend that important period of my life in military service. That's how I decided to apply for the military interpreter. I had to pass an exam for it and certainly I studied really hard because I had a clear goal. Lucky for me, the competition rate for the position when I applied was lower than 2 to 1, so I could pass the exam. But just like when I first entered the foreign language high school, my English skill was way below than average compared to other new interpreters. Unlike my other colleagues, I was assigned to a division where English skill for work was least frequently required. And while my other colleagues were busy translating the documents for operation, what I did was just visiting the US Air Force office to ask them to move their car out, or I just translated a Colonel's toast at joint office dinner with our US Air Force counterpart. So it was just translation and interpretation for everyday English. I think that's when I had a complex about English once more. Again, having the complex motivated me to learn English. I really hated to hear that my English skill was the worst among my colleagues, so I continued to learn English again. After the discharge, I finished my last semester in school and could get a job right away. My experience as an interpreter in Air Force was a huge help, and in my company, I was first assigned to the global business job family. But again, most of new employees were colleges from abroad, and my English skill was at the bottom within the group I belonged to. So instead of the global business team, I was assigned to the domestic marketing team. In retrospect, the reason I can speak English this much now is because I could luckily belong in excellent groups all the time even though my English wasn't good enough. And the complex grown inside me made me keep striving for a better English skill. Even if it's not a complex, having something as a motivation is key for self-improvement. It's really important to have your own goal to learn English, such as I want to understand an entire whole movie without subtitles in English, or I want to have a conversation with foreigners in English on a trip. If motivation is the most important, the next thing is confidence. Without confidence, you never speak out words in English on a trip, no matter how hard you've been learning English by yourself. I think confidence comes from experience, so I want to say that take as many chances as possible to speak in English. Having a conversation with native speaker is great, but it's important to feel comfortable and less embarrassed when you speak in English. About 10 years ago, a friend of mine went on a trip to States, and he was not that fluent in English. But what he did before the trip was memorizing only 2 sentences that he heard from the US TV show, which were, "What am I supposed to do and I'm begging you." When he missed his flight in San Francisco airport, those 2 sentences that he used with strong confidence could solve his problem. When it comes to language and communication, I think confidence is really important. The last thing that I want to emphasize is diligence. The reason that I'm not mentioning the practical methodology of learning English now is because I think you already know enough about it. You went through the strict Korean education system and competitive job market and made this far. I think you already had enough experience in learning English. So to a certain extent, you surely know the efficient ways already. But only few of you continue practicing the method consistently. Especially for the office workers, failing to achieve goal is not because the methods are wrong. In most cases, it's because they lack consistency. This not only applies to the learning English, but also to things like losing weight or working out and so on. And our goal at this point is not to become capable of speaking English like a native speaker or to get a degree in English. You don't need a special method to reach a level of being able to what you want to say on a trip. With motivation, confidence, and diligence, I'm certain that you can speak English like I'm speaking now in front of you guys, no matter which method you would choose. When I started YouTube channel and uploaded several interviews with foreigners, some of you asked me to upload some clips about learning English. But like I said, I had a complex about English, so I was quite reluctant to talk about it in this open space. Certainly, I think there is a chance that some of you might leave some negative comments about my English skill as well. But the reason I'm speaking in English in this clip is not to show off my English skill. Instead, I just want to point out your potential to learn English. I'm just common office worker with no special English education or no overseas experience. But I'm just speaking in English right now, as you see. I believe that you can become a much better English speaker than I if you come up with the motivation, confidence, and diligence. I hope this clip can help you to set a new goal for the next year. And that's all for today. It was 또떠남, and thank you all. Bye.